Hey, how would you like to be more knowledgeable than 90% of the buyers, sellers, investors, and heck, even realtors in your marketplace? Yeah, that'd be pretty powerful, right? Well, you're in luck because today I'm going to show you one technique the pros use to predict where home prices are going. Check this out. Hey, we're going to jump right into the material, but before we do, please do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It only takes a second and it greatly helps me out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy today's video. So the technique that I'm showing you today is all based on supply and demand of the housing market. In any housing market, really for any product, supply and demand really dictate the pricing. So when you have more supply, less demand, prices tend to go down. Conversely, when you have higher demand and lower supply, you're certainly going to see usually an increase in prices or prices that are sticky and refuse to go down. And by the way, we've been experiencing this in many housing markets throughout the country. You have historically low inventory and you have medium or a lot of demand, even low demand. But because the inventory has been so low, prices continue to go up. But make no mistake, this technique will work in any situation. It just takes a little time to learn and track. So let's go. So the data that we're going to track is called months of supply. And for a more in-depth discussion on months of supply, check this video out right here. But months of supply is basically the number of available homes for sale right now divided by the number of homes that have sold on an average monthly basis over the past year. So for instance, if you have 100 homes that are in a marketplace available to buy and are on the market right now, and you've sold 50 homes on average per month, that's a month of supply of 2. Conversely, if you have 25 houses that have sold instead of 50, that's months of supply of 4. Pretty easy, right? Just simple division. So basically, we have to find 2 data sets. We're looking for all the available homes in our marketplace or the area we want to buy in, or even if we're selling a property, want to examine that area. Now, the area could be as big as a city, but oftentimes it should probably be smaller, like a subdivision or neighborhood, and depends on where you live, could even be the street level. However, if you live in the country, it could like be a county. If all the properties are really spread out and you don't live in a really densely populated area, it could be as big as a county. So the area is important, but what you want to do first before you go looking at the data, you want to actually set your buy box. So if you're buying a property or you're selling a property, you want to hunt for properties that fit the buy box. You want to hunt for properties that fit the buy box. So for instance, if my buy box is 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses under $500,000, that's what I want to search for. Houses that are $1 million don't count. So your buy box is essentially your target property, or if you're selling a property, what type of property do you have for sale or that you're planning on selling? So once you have your buy box set, then you can jump into Zillow.com and actually pull the data. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I'm on Zillow.com and you don't need access to the MLS in many cases to pull this information. It just takes a little finagling and practice. So right now I've got Columbus, Ohio up on Zillow. I work as a real estate agent and investor just outside of Columbus. So that's why I picked Columbus. So in Zillow, I can search for for sale properties. So the first data set I want is the number of properties in my market available for sale right now that fit my buy box. So at the top here, I have for sale selected. I have up to $500,000. I've got a 3-bed, 2-bath selected because you can select different beds and numbers and obviously bathrooms and all that. I have home type. I selected houses, so no townhomes, multifamily, condos, nothing like that. And so I got this up, I've searched, and I see 426 results. So right now in the city of Columbus, there are 426 properties available to purchase that fit my buy box. And so I'm taking this number, and what I'm going to do with it is actually put it into my Google spreadsheet. So let's go on over to Google Sheets, and this is the simple spreadsheet I created. I actually have a link for this in my description below if you want the template, but it's pretty easy to create. Only took about 5 seconds, actually like a minute, but who's counting? All right, so in this spreadsheet, what I've got here is the date, and this is the date that I'm tracking the information. So you can track this on a daily if you wanted to, a weekly, every 2 weeks, monthly, quarterly, doesn't really matter. Whatever your pace is and how often you want to look at this information, you can do it. I wouldn't encourage you to do it every single day. It'd probably drive you nuts, but every 2 weeks, every quarter, or every week, or even every month would be fine probably. Again, is the date that I'm actually entering the information. So today is July 8th, and the next column you can see is the number of active properties. So I've got 426 because that's what I found on Zillow, 426 active properties. Now the next data set I want is sold properties. So let me go back to Zillow, and now instead of for sale, I'm going to select sold. Now in this last box here where it says more, I can come down to the bottom and select how long ago the properties were sold. So it says sold in last, I have 12 months. And here's the trick. You want a year of sales history. It's called a rolling history. You want the last 12 months. You don't want last year necessarily. You want the last 12 months. Then you're going to take the results and divide them by 12. So I hit apply, and now I have 4,514 results. So out of all the homes that fit my buy box, so in the last year in the city of Columbus, there's been 4,500 homes sold that fit my buy box. So now I go into my Google Sheet, and here I've already entered the information. I've got, you notice here in the top, my formula, I've got 4,514 properties divided by 12 because we know those have sold in the last 12 months. So if you look back at this sheet, you can see the dates here, the active properties, the number of sales of sold homes over the last 12 months on an average monthly basis. And then now I calculate months of supply. So again, months of supply is simply active properties divided by sold properties gives you a factor. And the factor of 1.4, 1.2, 1.3, 1.1 is low. So in my example in the city of Columbus, you may think, wow, there's 426 homes for sale. Well, there may be, but that is only a month of supply right now of 1.1, meaning if we did not add any new listings at all to the inventory and we just kept the 426 houses available at the sales pace that we have right now of the 376 on average per month, that equals 1.1 months of supply. So the inventory would only last 1.1 months. Again, I just did a video with my dog Elaine outside walking, and we discussed the months of supply and the correlation with supply and demand and home prices historically. You should definitely check that out. It's right here again. So the months of supply is a very powerful factor because this can tell you where the market is headed. So if your months of supply is that low at 1.1, that's not very good. Conversely, if you see a months of supply at like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then you know it could be headed or already is in a buyer's market and prices will probably come down. So technically, if you have 4 months of supply, that really is called a balanced market. Anything under 4 months is a seller's market. And then how they usually classify it is after 5 months of supply, it becomes a buyer's market. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months of supply is a buyer's market. But under 4 is usually a seller's market. And that's kind of what we've been in recently. Will it stay like that? We don't know, but that's why we track this info. So all you have to do is track this data on a continual basis, and you'll be able to understand where your market's headed. So let's just play around with the numbers for a second. And actually, let's do this. Let's go in and look at another city that maybe has a lot more supply. So let's look at a market that I think will have more inventory and a higher months of supply. Now, Florida has had recently a large increase in inventory. And so I've picked Jacksonville, Florida, just out of the blue to find out what's happening there. So in this market right now, you can see on the screen, there are 2,328 homes to fit my buy box under 500 grand for sale. That's a lot of homes, it feels like, right? Well, let's find out. Then, so we know there's 2,328 homes for sale. Now let's look at sold. 8,172 homes that have actually sold in the last year. All right, now we'll go to our Google Sheet and do the same thing we did before for Columbus. So we've got the date, right? Now I've got 2,328 homes that are active right now and an average monthly sold volume of 681 units. That equals a months of supply of 3.4. So I don't know how Jacksonville trended earlier than this. And in fact, using Zillow, you really can't go back in time really, because you'd have to go into every listing and find out exactly when it was listed. It'd be a nightmare. That's why it's important to continually track this. And so you can see the months of supply will change drastically depending on how much inventory you have. And so if you track this on a continual basis through a period of time, you're going to see trends emerge, right? You're going to see months of supply either climb or dip. And if it starts climbing and climbing quickly, like let's pretend all of a sudden in Columbus, we went to 3.4 months of supply one month. Would that be a cause for an alarm that a crash is coming? Not sure, but it's just 1 month. So you probably want to give it some more time. You really want to look at the data on a continual basis over a period of time. And I'll caution you, you want to take into account seasonality, because in the winter, you're just going to sell less homes. Less homes are generally going to be listed. So that's why you want to look at this for a period of time. Personally, I track this on a weekly basis, and I've been tracking it now for several years in my local market. And it's really powerful. It really gives you a sense of what's happening in the market. So when you hear people say things like, oh, the market's going to crash, or the market's never going to crash, you can use your data you're pulling and school them. You can say, well, there's only 1.1 months of supply. Not sure how it's going to crash. Or when someone says it's never going to crash, you can say, hey, we've got 8 months of supply. It could crash, or prices are actually coming down. Anyway, I hope you got a lot of value and insight out of this video. This technique's really helped me. I hope it can help you. Last thing, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you got some value out of the video today and learned something. Thanks. We'll see you on the next video.